Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for a week 2 discussion board. I called this Early Theorist and Modern Public Administration. So I'm going to talk about Max Weber, I hope I said that right, and Mary Parker Follett. Both of them actually had theories on on management and how to successfully have an organization, in this time in history is when they started having management styles, and it wasn't just employees, there was different levels of employment with the organization. So Max Weber had 6 characteristics of a bureaucracy, and what a bureaucracy is the exercise control on the basis of knowledge. And what that means is managing based on rational and legal authority was more effective than managing based on subjective criteria. So the first characteristic of his bureaucracy is the division of labor. And what he means by this is dividing jobs into smaller set of tasks, increase efficiency. So basically what workers can do will be delegated into different sections in the organization, and then also who has authority. So what he's bringing out is management style. And then the second one is managerial hierarchy. And that is to establish the chain of command that shows positions in the organization and how they relate. So the benefit of this is communication. So if there's different levels and everybody is aware of who to talk to, they're going to talk to the person right above them. And if that doesn't work, then they're going to go above them and so on and so forth until the very top. And hopefully you don't ever have to get there. That the issues or things that need to be taken care of are completed with just the person above you, so your superior. So the third one is formal selection. And what that is employees should be hired or promoted based upon technical qualifications and merit. So with public jobs, there's always tests, how long you've been there, what you've successfully completed, things like that. So it's a fair sense of promotions or to be hired on. They want to take the best candidate that's going to successfully complete the job, which in return will help the organization because most organization holders, they don't want employees that are not going to be successful because the bottom line is only going to hurt the organization. So the fourth one is career orientated, and what that is the employee should be a career professionals. Um, and then the fifth one is formal rules and policies. They should all be written down so everybody that works for the organization has an understanding. I personally always go to our policy and procedures. It's online and you just look up anything. So if you have any questions, I always go there first before I reach out to management, just so I can try to solve the problem or to make the best decision based on what the organization policy and procedure is. Because typically how they're written is going to be most efficient for the organization, and it's also going to protect you. I reference that a lot just to make sure I won't get in trouble or I'm making the right choice as a business decision. And the fifth one is impersonality and personal indifference. And what this means is everybody is different in their own way. And personally, I think the more differences we have, employees are able to bring more to the table, which gives us different points of view. And ultimately, if we have people that all think the same way, we're going to constantly do the same thing. And growth definitely comes from change a lot of times. So when you have different personalities, you're able to get that growth a little bit quicker. So Max Weber's 6 characteristics are essential components in modern society today. I do feel like in public administration, we utilize a lot of these characteristics, especially in the government. There are a few. I know the formal selection, they still do the merit and testing and qualifications, even in promotions. Um, in like law enforcement, you have to test, you have to interview, and it's all a point system. And then that way they promote based on the higher point system. It also steers away from favoritism. Maybe the employees that are favoritized, they aren't the hardest worker, or when you're in a leadership role, you want the ones that understand and are going to make the best possible decision. And typically, if they're not a hard worker or if they haven't gotten their hands dirty, they're probably not going to make the best decision. And I definitely think even in modern day, the rules and regulations, um, we utilize that now. I wouldn't say that separating in different tasks is quite used. We do have a chain of command, and we do have different types of positions, but I wouldn't say that your position is only for a small task based on what your needs are. A lot of times when you're working, you pick up different jobs, or you cross train, or you help somebody else out. That's typically how smaller tasks are utilized. So I personally liked Mary Parker Follett. Um, I obviously misspelled her middle name on the slideshow. So what she was is an advocate for principle integration, sharing based on the use of concept power with rather than power over. And what she said is she wasn't really for top-down management where there's the dictator and they're just telling everybody what to do and opinions don't matter. What her theory was is to gather the information from the employees, and what they're saying, you can take that and possibly change policies or go a different route when it comes to the organization. So her theory, she really felt that the reciprocal relationship was a better way and more efficient. The reason why I like this is with my employees, we have a meeting once a week where I just get the input from everybody and to see, if a certain policy is working or if we're going down a certain route, and they feel like it's not working, or the software that they're told to use isn't integrating with something else that needs to be done. So getting the employee, because they're the ones that actually do it. As a manager, you delegate and you follow up more than you're actually completing the task that you're asking the employees to do. So if there's a glitch or something's not working, you're never going to know unless you ask your employees or you're actually doing it yourself. This can also go with law enforcement. A lot of times sergeants, they maybe sit in at the station more than the deputies are out. And if they're noticing, maybe there's more transients in a certain location and the sergeant isn't aware of it, he can't possibly delegate a task to, maybe alleviate some of the problems if he doesn't know what's going on. So that's what I like about her theory is really getting the employee's input and not being a manager that just sits on top and orders things around. They maybe delegate and then follow up and ask how it's doing, or maybe it's not going to work. So I definitely think this is used in modern day because I know as a manager or somebody in a management role, I get the input of my employees quite often just to make sure everything's running as smooth as possible. So at the end of the day, I believe both of the theorists, the ultimate goal was to have the organization be as successful as possible. And whether you take the role of being more of a manager that just dictates what needs to be done, or you take the manager role where you get the input of the employees, I think we use a little bit of each, even in modern day management roles.